As part of our visit to Humpalicious Camel Farm in Robe, we sat down with one of the owners, Warwick, and had a great long chat about his incredible and extraordinary life. As a little bonus feature, here is some of that chat.
Seen that. I've heard of it.
You watch it. If you watch it, I used to watch it and really enjoy it, and then just one day I was watching it and I was like, oh, this is really staged. Like it, but
This is not staged, although
It's
edited.
Real.
It's heavily edited. Though.
Do that again? No.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Sorry.
It's. It's like obviously it's seriously edited for the purposes of the program, and it runs like 12 episodes or something like that. And so what happens is they don't want you to know who's the winner straight up. They want you to keep watching it. So the problem watching it and then thinking, oh, I'd like to go on that, is that you have no idea really what's going on.
Right.
So that's the problem.
We actually watched an episode of it, a couple of them.
did we?
Yeah, they were in Southwest Tassie, and we watched the start when they all get deployed to like different parts of the landscape, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And shocking memory.
Yeah, and they have to film.
Sure that was me?
Yeah.
I say that like once a week.
Yeah.
They have to film themselves.
The American one's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's been running for about 12 years now. And I've been watching it for about 5 or 6, maybe even longer. And I was like, oh man, I'd love to go on that. Because I've done some crazy stuff in my life and I've lived like alone in the bush for years.
Right.
I was, commercial rabbit shooter before I got into being a commercial camel musterer. And before that, I was like working on the high seas. I'm a sea captain, and I've been shipwrecked, on the cliffs out in the Bight. All this crazy stuff that to me is like, oh, I would love to do this, and pick some money up. That'd be great if I win it.
We were at the brewery the other day, and we were telling people we were coming out here, and they said you've got to ask Warwick about his ship. So you've got you built a boat.
Have you seen it?
We did see it. I saw it last night. I got a shot of it last night.
I've got to go out there today, actually.
So you sailed around the world. I don't even know where to start. You sailed around the world before you were a commercial rabbit hunter, before you were a camel musterer.
No. So I've chopped the whole life as one crazy chain. TJ and I, when we both met, she was a filmmaker, and I was doing salvaging on a sunken pirate ship in East Timor. And so she went up to film it with us, salvaging it.
Yeah.
And that's how we met. And then afterwards, we started working on super yachts together. She became a sea qualified chef, and I upped my skipper's tickets to get on the big yachts. So we did that, and then we sailed our own boat when we were off those boats. So we'd do like 3-month contract for a super yacht somewhere, and then, or 6 months or whatever, then fly back, get on our boat, and then sail that somewhere else, and then park it up, and then go and join another boat for another contract. So we sailed all over the world at different times in different places, which was really a pretty cool way of doing it. And then we did it on our own time frame on our own boat.
Yeah.
I built the boat in Borneo.
Yeah.
It was a 5-year task building that, and it was an amazing experience. And then sailed it back basically and around Australia and throughout Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Did you build it out of fiberglass?
No, planks out of wood.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I built all of this as well. Like I built everything.
Seriously?
Like it was,
Joking.
no.
What are
not
you?
officially, no. No, I'm a sea captain. That's basically that's and a marine engine driver and a camel milker.
No, look, I don't know. It looks very. You're not in this very shop very much. That's all.
Who cares? It's all right. I don't care. I'm just talking.
So the camel, the rabbit shooting and that sort of stuff happened. I was born on a farm, but then when I was 7, Dad wanted to be. So it kind of explains things a little bit. He wanted to be a fisherman. He didn't want to be a farmer. So he sold the farm, started building a fishing boat in the front yard. And it was just like a 37-foot plywood boat, and we became tuna fishermen in Western Australia. So I did that with him from 15 until I was 21. But I did actually do one short stint out rabbit shooting onto the Nullarbor as well for a few months, just doing my own thing and out of the tuna season. And then when I was 21, I decided Then I did a motorbike trip around Tasmania on my own on a big dirt bike.
Yeah.
And broke down coming across the Nullarbor on the way back. Ended up meeting a fishing family that I knew on the Nullarbor and getting on their boat. And then we ended up shipwrecked on the cliffs for 7 days.
Did you take the bike with you?
No, the bike broke down on the highway. Chain broke on the motorbike. So I just pushed it into the bush and left all my bags and stuff there. Hitchhiked with the family down to Scorpion Bight, which is part of the Bight.
Right.
And truck drivers saw the motorbike that had fallen over now, and they reported it to the cops at Eucla. And the Eucla cops came out and they ran the plates and they rang up my dad and said, we found your son's bike. It doesn't look good because there's no sign of him. So, probably never ever know what happened to him.
Dingoes took him.
Yeah, dingoes probably got him. He probably walked off the cliff. And then the next day we drove back up with the truck to pick the bike up, and there were the cops trying to get this massive big bike into the back of the paddy wagon. It wasn't fitting. They were pretty glad we rolled up. And we took it back down to the camp at Scorpion Bight, and then Bob needed a hand on his boat, and his boat was full. It was a big long whole debacle, and then it ended up we got Ned in the propeller right alongside the cliffs at night time and abandoned ship and ended up stuck there for a week.
Jesus.
They were pretty badly, so it was Bob and his son and myself, and they got pretty badly injured through the whole thing. Bob did his back in really badly.
So what happened?
It's like an amazingly long and convoluted story.
Okay.
And it's
You got shipwrecked.
It's definitely one. It's definitely one for the books. Darcy ended up with a big cliff collapse falling on him and skinning all his chest and feet and hands and chin and stuff. So he was down for the count. So I had to look after all three of us for the whole week there. So that's why I want to have a go at this alone thing, because it's like, I can look after. I've done camel safaris from Alice Springs to Port Hedland, 3-month trips, and we're like catering for 10 tourists.
Wow.
And we take everything we need on the camels, and we hunt food for them while we're going along. So
Seriously?
we don't take fresh meat because you can't keep it.
Yeah. What?
No GPS in those days.
Dehydrated meals.
Wow.
What do you eat on those safaris?
We do take like smoked chickens.
Yep.
We used to take and wrap them up in, they're like a whole smoked chicken. You wrap them up in newspaper. We take tons of cabbages wrapped up in newspaper as well. Spaghetti and rice and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Did you have a camel that was just for loading food?
All of the camels were just for loading, so we didn't actually ride the camels. They carried the swags, the water, the food.
And you guys walked?
Yeah.
The camels?
Yeah.
Right.
So
From Alice Springs to Port Hedland.
Yeah.
Why?
Why not?
It's
so.
I was doing it as a job,
Right.
but I enjoyed doing it. The people that came out were like varied. There was one guy that was an Antarctic expeditioner.
Oh yeah.
And he wanted to try the deserts, but didn't know how to do it, and just paid to come along. And that was pretty cool. There were some people that were just having like the holiday of their life. There were other people that used to come out regularly and join. I was actually running the camels for a guy that owned them. So it was another company. It wasn't my company. I was just a camel handler or a cameleer. And there was generally 3 to 4 of us on the trip, and then 10 tourists. And some would like be swapped out along the way if we came to somewhere where there was a bit of civilization or a little airstrip or something like that. And some new people would fly in and maybe get some more cabbages.
How many kilometres is that?
I reckon it's about 1,600, 1,700 kilometres.
Yeah.
And we try and do 25 a day.
Wow.
So it's not too hard. No. Like it sounds like a lot, but you get up, real early in the morning while it's still dark.
Take the heat.
Yep, and bring in the camels. It's not even super hot because we do it in winter time. But it's nice. Like it's just perfect. It's cold at night, like real cold.
Yeah.
Get all the swags rolled up. It's quite a lot of organisation because a lot of people. No, it's firewood. There's
firewood
firewood
everywhere. All the
You
mulgars.
always pull up summer here. The mulga's great firewood.
Yeah.
So we try and pick a good camp every night. And that's a part of the alone thing too. It's like finding a good camp, setting yourself up.
Yeah.
And I've done that for my whole life. It's like being able to, even as a little kid, I used to walk through the bush and go, see where kangaroos had been sleeping in under a bush or something like that. And you go, oh, I'd have been under there. And you get in there, there's bush ticks and stuff. You get Lyme disease. So, I've had plenty of illnesses and ailments and stuff like that too through the whole business. So, which is all part and parcel of that. That whole program.
Yeah.
Is coping with.
So what's it like here on a farm with a house and
it's just
a roof?
easy. This is why I'm applying for a loan.
Yeah,
I need a bit more of a challenge. I need something to like make me kind of like get out of bed and and realise that it's not all easy going. I still kind of would like to get back on the boat again for a little while too, but it's just swinging around out there out in the storms and on a mooring at the moment.
Do you get on there at all much?
Just to go out and work on it.
Yeah.
Which is, today I've got to go out and put a new anchor light on top of it so that it's got a nice bright solar light on it so nobody crashes into it in the night time, because I noticed that last one's not working anymore.
Yeah, right.
There's always something. Going on.
So you've applied for a loan in the US?
So I've applied, So actually I'm still currently, so I've filled out all of the application. And I like it. I like this application. I'm getting better and better at the application process every time, because the questions they ask, it's tempting to be a smart ass, and it's like, what sort of a question is that? It's like, but now I'm kind of getting a little bit better at it, and I've thought the answers through a bit better, and I think that's important. I got through to the third stage of interviews with the Australian one, and then they just dropped you like a hot potato, and it's like, and they don't even tell you. And I was
hate
like,
that.
And I was like,
they just
calling them up, and it's like, I'd already put on like an extra 25 kilos of fat, and I was like, I've got to go and see the doctor because I started to pass out from getting fat. And then it's like, and so I'm ringing them up, and they're like, the cutoff is like supposed to have been 2 weekends ago. And it's like, and I haven't heard anything. And then eventually they said, sorry, due to the overwhelming amount of people we've already selected. And then the program comes on, and it's like, all this politically correct, people that have been chosen to go on.
Jump through hoops.
That's why we watched it, because of the Matt Walsh thing. He said the Australian
the Australian one was really woke.
Yeah, and it was like people that were on it didn't seem like they should be on it. They were on it because they were this kind of person, and they achieved so much by just going out there. Yeah, and then after a day,
shouldn't be like that now. It shouldn't be like that now.
Well, the Australian one still is a little bit. Yeah. I noticed they seem to, this is my own opinion, that it seems like they put one out there that's a bit more rigid edge, and then they do another one that's political correctness. And to my way of thinking, they discredit like minority groups by doing that.
They do, absolutely, yeah.
Well, they put on people that, it's like Indigenous First Nations. Okay, they could be. But I've lived with Pitjantjatjara and Yankunytjatjara survivors, like people that like really know how to live in the bush, and they must be spewing. Yeah. When they see these guys, and it's like, I'm normally working at the newspaper, and it's like, and you applied for this program. I think they select these people. It's like, hey, would you like to try and win $250,000? Come on.
It's the same with everything, but that show in particular,
I remember it now that you said that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the contrived parts of that program, and I think it's the Australian one that's a classic for it. The lady that's the producer in it was like doing big, what do they call that, reality TV programs? And I think she's trying to do it on the same kind of idea. She's brought in a whole new bunch of viewers, like people that would normally watch the stuff that she's producing, but the people would normally watch Alone US are livid. They're like, what? Is this an outrage?
It's not authentic anymore with just diversity bias.
And also
it's
Australia.
What they are, isn't it? Diversity hire.
Well, Australia also has this kind of like nanny state thing going on where, you're not allowed to take any risks, you're not allowed to have any danger. And it's like, well, that's the whole point of the thing. But you can tap out. Which is the unusual aspect to it. Because when we were on the cliffs and we were like shipwrecked, and if somebody said there's a tap out button, it's like, should I tap it yet? No, leave it for another week. It says like, no, we would have been tap that thing out. But I probably, when we were first shipwrecked, the old skipper, the owner, Bob, said to me, he said, we could be here for 3 months, guys. We have to be, prepared for that. And I'm like, yes, 3 months survival. Let's do it. And like 7 days later, we were like, huh.
How did you get saved?
We didn't make a regular SCED radio call. And so they sent out the cavalry flying out with aeroplanes looking for us.
Yeah.
On an island? Where were you?
We were actually at the base of the cliff. So, you know, the Nullarbor, the big cliffs. We were
So you're
down
not
at the
getting
little
up that.
crumbly part of the crusty bottom of that.
You couldn't climb up, so I take it.
Bob wanted me to. He said, you're going to need to climb up because we're never going to, we're going to be here for 3 months. Otherwise, you have to climb up the cliff and then walk the 60 miles overland to the highway and wave down a truck to come and save us.
That would have been my plan.
Yeah. So I started trying to climb it, and it's 300 feet high.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it goes back on itself. Yeah.
and I got to about here, and I'm looking up, and it's like, no, this is not happening. And as it turned out, I was quite right about that. Like I would have died for sure.
It wouldn't have been stable either. You would have just fell. Yeah.
Well, when we finally got, so the cops flew over with the plane. They found us, and then they rallied a great big 4-wheel drive team at the top of the cliffs over a big cave. Like there was this massive, big 200-foot wide cave, which got off there. Like it was front page of the Western Australian for about a week. The whole thing, like fisherman doomed, no chance of finding him alive. Hope sparked as one fisherman found on the beach. And our families are like, oh, what's going on? And it's like we didn't even know that anybody knew we were missing.
Wow.
We just like thought, oh, we'll get back and have to tell everybody. It's like, oh, yeah, we're shipwrecked.
So what was your plan? Just to wait it out?
I tried several other options of getting up this cliff, and each one looked like it ended in death. After thinking about it, because it's played in my mind for ages and ages and ages, after years. This happened when I was 21, so this is like 39 years ago now. And I reckon that the cliffs are actually eaten out at water level, like right back for about 6 metres in, and the sea just booms in there. But at low tide, you can actually walk along under there.
Right.
And it's about 12 kilometres, maybe it was 12 nautical miles along, the cliffs turned into beach at that point. And I think my best option would have been, we never got to that point, would have been to just like get up, low tide starts, start running along there, swim across, because there were cut-ins to it, so it would have been swim across the next section, run, get the 12 Ks done, get to the beach, and then do the 60-mile hike inland to the highway. So that was kind of like, but I'd already done quite a bit of bush stuff, and I would have taken water with me for the experience. But that's.
When you shipwrecked, did you have water in the ruins?
Yeah. So before we abandoned ship, and we took 20 litres of water with us. We chucked in like a bag of stuff, and just grabbed stuff out. It was night time and it was rough, and it was a bit of a panic, but the boat was just about to get smashed up against the cliffs, and it got disintegrated and just sunk.
Really?
So we got into the lifeboat, life raft, which is just this tiny little plastic thing.
Waves crashing.
I was actually in a wetsuit because we got net round the propeller, and we were trying to clear that off in the dark. It's like. And we were shark fishing. That's what we were doing out there, was catching shark. It's like, time for payback. Like, down there with a knife in net in the black. Nah, not a great place to be. No. Talk about a week of living dangerously.
Wow.
And then, so we got into the lifeboat and we figured, well, what if we can't row away from the cliffs? So we put the smallest anchor on the boat into the dinghy so that we could anchor ourselves off if we needed to and just rest, because it didn't look like there's anywhere to stop.
Yeah.
And that was right up in the front of the dinghy. Darcy and I were basically lashed onto the back with a square kind of big float thing, and Bob was rowing, and it was all going well, but we were taking water into the dinghy because of the anchor. So he turned around, picked the anchor up and popped his back out. And old Bob already had only one leg. Like he'd lost his leg when he was like young, driving with it out the window, and just snapped it off. And he was an old guy now, like with a stump and a rubber leg and stuff like that. Crazy guy.
Oh my God.
But he was tough as nails. But I could hear over the top of all the booming surf and stuff, I could hear his back cracking.
Oh.
Like he's like, he just like rode in. Darcy and I actually swam in through the breakers. We came to a little place where it looked like there was crumbled rock at the base of the cliff. So it's like, we'll go in there. And there was actually a little bit of beach during the daytime. During the nighttime when the tide came in, it was kind of like, that was just rocks.
Yeah.
But up at the top of the rocks was a little strip of sand, probably about a bit wider than this, right against the cliff. So that's where we camped, up there. And all night, the cliff vibrates. It's just like, it sounds like a didgeridoo being played inside the, it's an amazing experience. And the rocks and the sand just crumble on you all night. There was a dead kangaroo flattened over a rock. It was down there, we're like, oh my God, don't camp over there. It's where the kangaroos land. It was insane.
Wow.
It's like it makes a movie out of your
that
just that period.
Oh yeah. I should write something.
You should write something.
Write a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A memoir.
Yeah. I have actually started writing memoirs ages ago, and I do write bits more. Now that I'm doing the alone thing, I'm actually, one of the introduction things is kind of like a brief overrun of the stuff that's pertinent to the program. Doesn't put I haven't got everything in there.
I was going to say, how do you fit it all in?
But just like and then I wrote too much. Like I wrote pages and pages and pages, and then somebody showed me how to give it to AI to trim it all down.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not too bad, but it was made it a bit impersonal as well. So
But
yeah,
that'd be really tough to make it personal, and because it's like a resume sort of thing. Like you don't want to sound like you know everything, but you kind of do at the same time.
ChatGPT wants to make it look like you know everything.
Yeah.
You want to just like tell your story and all of the connections that happen to it, because they're not going to believe that unless I tell them how that happened. And they're not going to believe that unless I tell them. Yeah. And it's easy for people to put in a resume and lie.
Yeah.
But if you can't back it up, then that's, and so I can back it, like everything's connected.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about it more and more. I do these things. I realize like everything is connected. Like the people that are in your life keep popping up. Like my dad building a boat, and then me building a boat, and then later on, my dad, and he's eventually died. But that's all these things that are like keep popping up in your little timeline all the way along in your life, but they're all chained together, even like through like a web. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah.
I like storytelling from that perspective. I like telling non-fiction. Like I like to tell the stuff that I know. The stories that I heard from Aboriginals and stuff, I act as if I know those.
Yeah.
Because I can only say as much as I was told.
Yeah.
Or I can say, well, I assume that this is what happened, or this is how that went. But like unless I ask the questions, then I don't really know all the back information on that.
Yeah.
What were you doing out there for 10 years?
So I went out there as after the shipwreck, this is the connection.
Yeah.
The connection. So after the shipwreck, we got treated like rock stars back in town in Esperance. We got back and people were like, whoa, you made it, It's like, but before we got back, we had to sail another boat back to Esperance. So Bob had himself a big shark boat and a small cray boat. And his small cray boat had been still on a mooring. And he said, look, we're pulling camp. We're doing, insurance is going to cover the white water, which is a big boat. And he said, we're just going to reconnoitre the whole thing. So we'll go back to town. And you drive the Ace back with Darcy, his son. This is after we've been shipwrecked.
I was about to say, so you got shipwrecked and then you sailed a boat.
And then we sailed the boat back. No GPS in those days. No autopilot on that boat. It was just hand steer it by compass all the way back. And we got a bit lost. So, but Bob told me the boat did 10 knots. And so I did all my navigation off of 10 knots. But it actually only did 6. So we're cutting across the Great Australian Bight for this point here. And it's like, well, why haven't we got there yet? And it's like, oh, shit, we've gone past it maybe.
Oh, no.
Maybe we've gone past it. So I just decided to turn north and head, because I knew Australia was to the north of us somewhere.
Yeah.
So we head north, but right in the middle of the bight, the longest possible apex back to land. And it's like, can you see it yet, Darcy? And then in the night time, we're like still like driving towards like, it's got to be here somewhere. And then it started getting real calm. And we're like, this is too calm. Turn on the echo sounder, and it's like only 15 feet deep. And it should have been like 200 feet deep, 300 feet deep. And so we're like, turn the boat off, chuck the anchor over, clink. And it was nice and calm. In the morning we woke up and we were at a part of where the cliffs had gone right inland and the beach was only like another half a mile away. We were going to get shipwrecked again. But we just avoided that by the skin of our teeth. And then we're like, whew, we got almost back to Esperance and ran out of fuel. And we had to wave down another fishing boat. We got fuel. So we got in late. Everybody's like, oh my God, the guys that survived the bite, now they're gone again. So it was just tremendously. So anyway, we got back and that was all good. And we were like heroes. And I quit working. My dad wanted me to go back fishing on his boat, but he wasn't kind of letting me do what I wanted to do. So I told him, I started getting cocky. Like it was really corruptive influence being, being treated like we were special or something like that, which we weren't, we just, and it was a really education to me, a little eye opener. And so anyway, I decided from my trip around Tasmania on the motorbike, which was the lead up to that, I've been working on fishing boats and visiting fishing boats, and I was smoking a bit of gunja at the time, and they were paying 10 times the price for gunja in Tassie down in Hobart that we were anywhere else in the known civilised world. And I was ticking over in my head. It's maybe I should grow a few plants and then and do my own business on the motorbike back down to Tassie again and fund my tour. That was my plan. Great plan. So I knew how to shoot rabbits and I'd done that before. So I decided to go out to the desert shooting rabbits, and the guys in the start doing a little agriculture.
Oh yeah.
And then I had this whole a religious spiritual experience out there where it's oh, shit, I'm doing the wrong thing. This is for the wrong reasons, and everything I've been doing right up to this point. This is after the shipwreck, after quitting for my dad, and then I ended up out there in the bush, and I had little plants up everywhere, and I just decided to come good on it and got rid of them. And it was really lucky I did. I would have ended up going to jail.
Yeah.
And then I started really kind of mingling with the black fellas out there. First, the police aides came out to my camp. This guy, Yankee Smith, and he's a full pitch and terror guy. And he came out and he's like, "You ever see any what do they call them? Kudachi? You see any Kudachi out here?" And I'm like, "What the hell is a Kudachi?" And they're like, "Oh no, you won't see him. You won't see him because he's hiding around. It's the bushman hiding in the dark. You might notice a few things missing." So I did. All the time stuff's missing. Where's my tobacco? Where's my lighter? He goes, "Oh yeah, that's a Kadachi stealing that stuff." And it's but then I found it later in my pocket. But this played in my mind. It was kind of all this weird stuff going on at the time, and it led up to me deciding to get rid of the pot, and then the cops came out again, and they said, "Oh, we know there's somebody out here growing pot, and we want to go and find them. It's an old rabbit shooter." I was a young guy at the time, and I was like, "Oh yeah,
yeah."
And they go, "Do you know the old rabbit shooter?" And I said, "Yeah, I've seen him before." And they go, "Where's his camp?" I said, "I don't know, but I know he goes out that way to go to it." And they said, "Okay, you come with us." We got out there, we found his camp, he fled, and it's "Oh, you had been growing it out there." It's "Oh, I thought I had an original idea." So I realised that I would have got caught.
Yeah.
And I was relieved that I'd actually decided to change my tune. And I just started selling rabbits to the Aboriginal communities. They said, "Oh, you should come around to our communities." And then I started learning the language really, really fast. And then the government introduced the Khaleesi virus that wiped out all the rabbits, and that was the end of my income. And you weren't allowed to sell rabbits, and you could barely find any to shoot at the time.
Yeah, right.
And then my very good friend, Yankee's older brother actually, Roger Kaipipi, and I became really good friends. He was a big elder, top level initiated man out there. And he said, "Hey, what about we go out and catch some camels? And we'll just ride them around like big men in the town." And I was like, "Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. I'll do that." And we just got the crap kicked out of us for like 6 months. We had no idea what. We managed to lasso some camels, and we got them back into the community. But and eventually we met a camel guru 6 months later who showed us how to train them, break them in, get them riding, and then we got quite good at it. And so then we started mustering big time, and then we eventually had more camels than we could sell to people that were looking for camels. Then it became a meat market, and I kind of got a bit sick of that. So I had a girlfriend who was working at the clinic at the time, so we decided we'd go up to Darwin. Got up to Darwin, and the Indonesian currency had gone through the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And there was the monetary crisis.
Yeah, the Asian. Yeah.
And I had no idea what that meant. But on 60 Minutes, they said, if you've got $100, it's worth 1,000,000 rupees.
Yeah.
And I opened up a suitcase and I'm like, ching! Oh, I don't need the ganja. I don't need any of that stuff. I'm going to make it. I've got $100. I've got 10 grand, from mastering camels for all that time. I got 10 grand cash. I'm going to be like a billionaire. I thought. So I thought, I'll go to Indonesia and buy myself a massive yacht, and I'll be like a bloody oligarch. I had no idea, no comprehension. People go, oh, you've learned a lot. You'd be surprised how much I had to learn. Talk about dumb. So anyway, I jumped on a plane and flew to East Timor, or to West Timor, to Kupang. Got off and got a pretty quick rude awakening. I saw a yacht down in the bay, and I thought, that'll do. Yeah. I'll buy that one. It was some Aussie guy had a boat down there, and I went down. And I said, I'll give you, how many million rupiah do you want for your boat? And he's like, 160,000 Australian dollars. You can buy that. And I'm like, what are you talking about, you maniac? This is Indonesia. It's only rupiah. And he's like, oh, God. Yeah. And he told me exactly how it all works. And I'm like, that's not how 60 Minutes were painted up. And then he said, but you could go and build your own boat here. And so I looked around and started following my nose and ended up in Borneo. Yeah. 3-month overland walking through Borneo, basically traveling buses and ferries and stuff like that. And I picked up Indonesian. Really quick. Yeah. And that was a really another valuable thing, another valuable tool. If you know a language when you're living in a place with the people, you get to know the people. Yeah. And people get to know you, and you get it's great. You're like family. And so then my brother came over from Australia. He was having a bit of a trouble with drugs and grog and stuff like that. And so I took him over to Borneo, and he ended up marrying, and he died. He's buried over there now. He had a stroke. This is 20 years later. He had kids and stuff like that, and they're all doing great. But I built the boat, and my girlfriend didn't like being over there. She was half caste, so she was half German and half Aboriginal. She was a crazy mix. And she hated Indonesians because they all thought that she was like an Indonesian prostitute hanging around with the whitey. And she was pissed off. And she was a pretty violent type of girl too. I got a black eye once from her. Oh, Jesus. And nobody had any sympathy. I was like, what the hell? So what's around the other way? Anyway, anyway, she hated it, and she didn't want to learn their language. I thought that was funny as. And she goes, if they want to speak to me, they can speak to me in English. I'm like, Caroline, you can, you've got English, but you've also got a bit of Pitjantjatjara as well. This is these people's country. They speak their language. She goes, nah, fuck it. If they want to talk to me, they can speak my language. So they all thought she was arrogant. She hated it. She had a bad time there. Yeah, right. She came back to Australia, and I never saw her again, actually. Yeah, right. And then I ended up marrying a orangutan researcher from California. So she was out there at the time, and having a couple of kids over that 5 years. And they set up this like orangutan rehabilitation place in the jungle and all that sort of business. Finished building the boat, sailed back to Australia, and then we split up. Yeah, basically. Right. Yeah. And then I met TJ. Yeah.
How did the camels come about?
So we sailed. We sailed from Darwin. We sailed to Darwin, to Timor, and then back through Indonesia. Got down to Perth, and then started working super yachts. And then went on to Esperance as skipper and chef. Yeah,
right.
And we did all sorts of amazing ships. Like delivered one from San Remo in Italy to Panama.
Wow.
Across the Atlantic.
Wow.
And that was an amazing boat. That was a 75 metre
75 metre?
single-handed Atlantic racer.
Oh my.
So they built this boat for this one French dude to race across the Atlantic on his own. And it's like, claim glory for France. and there were only 3 of them in the race. He came third. It was like $100 million boat or something.
Holy.
Like back in the 70s. The boat, when we saw it, looked like it had only been built a few years before.
Yeah.
And
so you were just like the transport for it?
Yeah. We're delivery crew. There were actually 11 of us on board. So there was a big stack of, what were they? They were Eastern Bloc mob. They were the engineers on board. There was a Swedish captain. I was as an officer. And there was another Dutch officer and a Canadian guy. So we were basically, calling the shots and supposedly dishing out the orders and doing the watches and stuff like that. TJ was along, and one of the Croatian guys was also the chef.
Yeah.
So we had 2 chefs for us all.
Wow.
That was a crazy trip. It's a crazy trip again. Anyway, we did that for a while, and eventually we sailed all the way back to South Australia.
Yeah.
On our own boat.
Yeah.
In between like many other these jobs for about, I don't know, nearly 10 years or something. And then we got to South Australia, and I took TJ up to meet Roger and all of the guys, and half of them had died. Roger died about 4 years later or 3 years later on our farm. He came down and stayed with us on the farm for his last palliative kind of days.
Oh, yeah.
And, so we went up just to say hi to everybody and catch up before they all kind of passed along, because it's an era. In fact, they weren't the old people. The old people, when I first went out there when I was 21, they passed away. And then these guys were like the 40-year-olds back then. They've all passed away.
Yeah.
And now there's like the guys that were kids that are now like, 40 years old now. They're passing away. Like,
At 40.
Yeah, they live a fairly dangerous and short life. And anyway, we ended up doing a camel muster for the day, and then we talked to some people about that. They mentioned camel milk to TJ about how good it is, and we were looking for our own business. We wanted to actually get off super yachts because it was getting a bit crazy. And then some of the people that we were working for weren't very nice clients.
Yeah.
So some of them were great, okay. They weren't. All of them were like infatuated with big money.
Yeah.
And I'd already experienced that. That was not a great outlook on life. So, we decided to start doing the camel milking. That's the short version.
All we need is a land and
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a story. That is crazy.
Yeah.
you should write, definitely.
Yeah, you thought about that?
And I said, I started it, but I think probably the way to do it was what we've just done.
Yeah, and then someone else.
Or even like do something audio.
Well, I was going to say,
Who reads these days? I mean, really, not many people read.
We could probably post this as a full podcast.
We'll give you this whole thing.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The APY lands, we can't visit them, can we? I was trying to look into it for this trip, but
it's very tricky because the guy that's running the show out there at the moment is extremely bloody militant. He's not Pitjantjatjara or Yankunytjatjara, but he is the chairman or something like that. It's not some other. But he works for the Premier in South Australia, basically, and he also, as far as I can see, works for Gina Reinhardt. But he is in charge of the APY.
Right.
And he sits in the top office in the middle of the desert, and he issues the permits to who can come out. And he's given out. I applied to go up there to catch up with everybody, and he won't let me go out. He doesn't want me out there because I can hear and speak what everyone's complaining about, and I can come outside and talk to other people about it.
Okay.
And he doesn't like that. And I go and I say to him, you can't keep this up. The people want you gone, blah blah blah. And he knows that, and he's like, Premier says I can stay.
Jeez.
And they've tried taking his permit off of him, and they still can't get rid of him. So he's a bad egg.
Yeah, right.
And when I was applying for the permit, he said, "Oh, you're not the only person applying for a permit. I've done 6,000 permits this week." I'm like, "Who's going out there?"
6,000
It's
in a
mining
week.
and it's mining and cattle.
Ah.
Mining and cattle crew.
So he's giving permits to Gina and the crew.
Yeah. They're basically pillaging the lands of resources. So it's a rich country. It's a beautiful country out there. It's like this, except red. Like there's bush and like sand dunes and hills and stuff like that. Yeah. It's beautiful. So I love it out there. I thought I would never actually leave that place. For one part of my life, I thought, this is where I'll die out here, you know. I was happy for that. And now I'm kind of like, I don't even really feel like a strong call to go back now that Roger's gone.
Yeah.
And all of the old guys. As a young guy, I only hung around with the old guys because the young guys were kind of stupid and not interesting. Like they were just petrol sniffing and drinking. They weren't even interested in going out hunting or anything like that. A few of the guys that ended up joining us as camel musterers, and they're still doing stuff out there, and I wouldn't mind going and seeing them, but they are pretty tied up in drinking as well. When they get money, it's down to Cooper Petey, and it's like, it's not a great healthy life. Yeah. And then, as I said, they die at a pretty young age. Yeah. Because of it.
Yeah, directly because of that. Because of
cash. Cash is the killer.
Yeah.
Ironically, cash should be king, but they get it, and it's like, got food. What next? Grog.
Yeah.
And petrol. So get petrol for travelling. Nobody sniffs petrol anymore. And actually, that was a big problem when I was first out there. Petrol sniffing was huge, and I was watching like little kids and seeing them start petrol sniffing and then being teenagers and die. 5 years later. Yeah. And some of them survived right through. Got off the petrol. But the only way that it really worked, like they tried everything in the book. And the one thing that worked, which is ironic, it was the one thing that they stopped doing, was basically they imprisoned them. They took anybody who's caught petrol sniffing straight to jail. And the beauty of that was, and it sounded at the time nobody wanted to do that in the early days because of deaths in custody and stuff like that. And it was like, oh no, they'll die in there and then we'll get the blame and it's terrible. But in actual fact, if you leave petrol sniffers in the community, they train the next generation to sniff petrol. Yeah. And if you take them for a special camp and treat them special, everybody wants to be a petrol sniffer, so they get treated special and go on the special camps. It's like anything you did that was like positive reinforcement didn't work. The only thing that worked was taking them out of the picture, put them in, I don't know what sort of prisons they went to, whether they were just like bars or whether they took them to farms or whatever they did. Yeah. But that worked because that broke the link. Yeah. And the next generations didn't learn to sniff petrol. In fact, they went, oh, you'll never be seen again if you sniff petrol. And everyone's like, you'll go to jail. Right. And eventually they did come back. And they were kind of like not sniffing petrol anymore because it wasn't cool anymore. Yeah. So they did break the cycle, but it was horrendous. At one stage, I reckon there would have been 60 to 70% of the youth were sniffing petrol. And each year, probably 5% of them would die. Yeah. So it's absolutely chronic. And jail was like the hard love. Like that was the only thing you could do. Which I wouldn't have suspected. But in hindsight, it's like, that's what worked. Yeah. And I think they're having similar problems now in Alice. So one of the problems that happens on the communities is that they're dry. Yep. And so there's no alcohol. There's no kind of like social outlet and everything's poo-pooed, by the elders. So they go to Alice Springs. Or they get kicked off the community for being there drunk or having alcohol, and they're not allowed to come back unless they get speared, and they don't want to get speared, so they go to Alice Springs and take up being troublemakers in Alice Springs. Yeah. And it's kind of like a melting pot for all of the different tribes. Yeah, right. And they don't necessarily always got on. Yeah, they don't. Some of them are fairly like time-old enemies. So this is one here. This is a winter. It's called a winter. This is a punishment spear. And you can see that it's got markings along it. Yeah. And they're like almost like.
Film it after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other ones are kulata, which is the hunting spears for catching meat. These are barbed.
Oh, right. I didn't even see those.
Yeah.
Roger used to say to me that there was this one guy that if he ever caught him for the crimes that he'd done, he said, I'd use the kulata on him and then pull it out afterwards to cripple him. Yeah, that's how they used to. Yeah. Then that's only for getting kangaroos. But the threats used to come when they were really like wanting to have. Fear is a really big weapon out there.
Right.
So if you and it's a knowing that you're going to have to pull that out of the leg yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a thigh. So you're supposed to come out, pull your pants off.
Yeah.
And walk out, and then the accuser comes out, tells everybody in the community, this guy slept with my daughter. She's promised to somebody else. He shouldn't have been doing that sort of stuff. Come out here and you're going to get your spear. I'm going to spear 2 legs. And it's like, and this guy's going, stay still. And usually if they throw it right, it won't hit the bone. It'll just slide through the thigh.
The whole way.
And, if the guy's not...
Arteries.
Take your arteries. They usually, but sometimes, ends in bad. It doesn't always, it sometimes ends in tears. If the guy's not happy that it's gone in, he'll push it in the rest of the way. Like he's got measuring marks on it.
Oh my God.
It can't just like bounce in and just like, no, that's no good. Do it again. And so it's best interest is to stay still. And when they hit, it knocks the person on their ass. Like they spin and whoop, hit the ground really hard. Like it's thrown at about 30 or 40 miles an hour.
They throw it.
Yeah. They
It's
throw
not
it.
a...
No, they use... It's still got a little hole in the end of it. And a miru or a woomera or an adladdle is used to throw it. So it hooks, the end of the spear hooks into there.
Yeah.
And then you basically throw it like that.
Could you just repeat that?
Yeah. So this little hook goes into the end. So this is a miru in Pitjantjatjara or Yankunytjatjara, which is a woomera in English or one of the Aboriginal languages, I'm not sure which, or an adladdle. That's just held in there by kangaroo sinew. That hooks into the end of the spear and it gives extra leverage. So from your wrist to the end of there, when you do the throw and the last bit, you can really increase the speed of it. It's been used in all old societies for adladdles and spears and stuff like that. But this is a very, very well crafted piece of equipment. Like the Australian Aboriginal miru or woomera is quite amazing. Like it's a multi-tool. It's like the new Leatherman, if you like, because you can use it as it's a hook for pulling stuff out of holes or out of like all sorts of number of jobs. This keedy on the end here, which is Spinifex resin, is like a fiberglass, and you can heat that up and just remelt it, and then it cools and it resets rock hard again. So normally they would put a piece of quartz, which has the dubious name of cunty, and that gets stuck in there, and that gets used as as a gutting tool. Yeah. And so it's like universal. And then this edge here, you use it for starting a friction fire. So you can actually, so that's a multi-use tool, and also can be used as a shield. And it doesn't look like much of a shield, but when somebody's throwing spears at you and you stand sideways and you hold it out like that, so that the mirror is that way, and the idea is you deflect the spear as you see it coming, so you step and push the spear out of the way. And so that was like life in the bush for these guys. It's like, this is a serious tool. You can also carry stuff in it. So it's a really nice bit of kit. But that also goes on to the winter, which is the punishment spear, which has its its engravings for different levels of punishment, really. Not a nice thing. This is I think this is a young mulga, actually. Whole young mulga tree. Mm-hmm. These are different. These are roots and almost like a vine, this one. And they're made out of multiple pieces. So that's usually made out of needle bush or mulga, and then that's the vine, and then that's usually needle bush or karada, as they call it. Kangaroo sinew whipping to hold them all together. And then quite often to make that waterproof, because if it gets wet, it'll just loosen off and go slack. But you put the keedy on it, the resin, just heat it up, and it's waterproof.
Wow.
It's amazing. Like this was the tools that they had, and they kind of perfected them.
Yeah.
So when they've stabbed someone in the leg as punishment, do they then stitch them up afterwards, or
No,
are they just left?
they leave the spear. You get to keep the spear.
You keep the spear.
You get to keep the spear. Yeah, it's
Wow.
like you can show your
Now you can
grandkids.
go hunting.
Yeah, this is what you get thrown in your leg, kids, if you misbehave. No, that basically that you've got to pull the spear out yourself. If you've been such a heinous criminal that like everyone's like staggered by what crime that you've done, that you end up with that spear. Perhaps you cooked the kangaroo wrong. That's a death penalty.
Really?
That's a death penalty.
What would constitute cooking it wrong?
Just about every way except the right way.
Oh, is there one way?
So there is only one way to cook a kangaroo.
Is it like a spiritual thing where they have to?
It's a customary thing. But it's a strong custom. Like it's
Do
it's
you
one
have
of
a custom?
yeah.
is it?
I don't have to do it, but if I was initiated, I would have to do it, and I always made sure I didn't, frivolously cook kangaroo the wrong way in front of anybody, just out of good measure. But so the proper way to do it is you generally don't bleed the animal.
Okay.
And you don't put any incisions in it that you don't have to do. A very small incision to remove the intestines out of, and then you'll cut the tail off and burn all the fur off on a big fire. You're allowed to cook the stomach now separately and eat that while you wait. It's kind of like a little hors d'oeuvre on the side.
Yep.
The tail and the main animal then gets all the fur burnt off so that it doesn't insulate it against cooking. So because the fur will insulate it. And then once all the fire and stuff is burnt down into the previously dug pit, which is where you would be burning the kangaroo over the top of, you got to dig all the ash and coals back out. The kangaroo's then legs get cut off at that point, and you can collect the sinew out of that, which is to make this type of stuff. And then the kangaroo gets buried on its back, covered up, and that's the right way to do it. And then when it comes out, it also gets cut up and divvied out to various different people. The tail generally and the guts can go to the hunter. Oh, thank you.
Goodness. Thank you so much. Welcome.
Thanks.
And and basically the liver will go to people that don't have teeth, old people and stuff like that. So there's a whole hierarchy of the way a kill is divvied up.
Yeah, and like elders would get the best bits, and
Generally, the hunter gets the best bits.
Yeah, right.
He'll get one thigh, he'll get the tail and the guts, because those are high fat content things, and fat is the premium.
this is delicious. Am I on the way here?
Nah.
My goodness, this is so good. Is it camel ice cream?
Yeah,
Wow.
camel milk ice cream. Yeah, it's actually gelato. So
What's the difference?
yeah, so ice cream's made with cream,
Oh yeah.
and camel milk doesn't really have cream, but gelato is made with milk, whole milk. So this is whole
Do
camel
you
milk.
know what the calorie differences are between a cup of cow's full fat and a cup of camel?
Calories, I don't know. The fat is quite. So I think camel milk comes out just under 3% fat,
Yep.
but it's all long chain fatty acids, no short chain unhealthy fats. So it's like omega 3s and 6s and things like that.
What about the protein?
You're asking the wrong person. Probably TJ would know. I don't know.
I think I'm going to make the switch if I can get access to
You
it.
can't really.
That's the hard bit.
Yeah.
It's expensive
That's fine.
and it's hard to get hold of. But it's normally what we do is we send it out like in 20-litre boxes to a family that's using camel milk. And they'll put it in the freezer and then pull out one a week. We also do 7-litre boxes as well.
There we go. And you ship them out?
Yeah,
Frozen.
yeah.
Right. There we go.
Where do you guys live?
We're homeless. Over there.
Yeah, well, so
We're moving to Victor Harbour.
yep.
Yeah.
No worries.
This trip.
Yeah, because in Adelaide there are a couple of supermarkets that have it there, but
yes.
it doesn't really help down at Victor Harbour.
Oh, We'll be in Adelaide a fair bit, I reckon. I will be working and stuff.
The Bowden IGA.
Is it
They've got-
yours?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said before, and Norwood.
Yep, Norwood
As
has
well.
to.
Yeah.
You have to ask them where it is. It's not easy to find.
Yeah, okay. Do you think this will be it for you? This is the camels are.
Depends if he gets leprosy or something on this show.
Leprosy?
What?
I don't know what that is. It just sounded good.
Your limbs fall off.
I worked in a place where there's leprosy for a while. I worked in India for 3 years.
Wow. Doing what?
Doing voluntary toilet cleaning.
In India, the worst place you could possibly clean.
Yeah. I
Voluntary
thought I would
toilet
die. When I got like religious out in the bush,
Yeah.
right? As soon as I kind of like had finished there, so I didn't go. So I did.
Yeah.
What point was it? So I did. Oh man! So I skipped over one of my wives as well,
Oh my gosh.
and my first lot of kids. So I did. Yeah. So I ended
We'll
up.
cut it in.
Yeah, so I ended up. I had. So I met a school teacher. You know, when I early days when I first started rabbit shooting, and taking rabbits into the communities after before the Cleese virus. I met a school teacher. She was about 15 years older than me, and I ended up. She got pregnant like first time we kind of had an interlude, and I wasn't following my highly religious, spiritual thoughts
Doctrines.
as doctrines as I should have been. And
Did she trap you?
no, totally. She was actually kind of in the same spiritual trajectory as what I was, and she was actually thinking about becoming celibate. And then just for some reason we ended up at a mining camp and out in the bush, and having a few drinks.
Go on.
And then the next day she was pregnant.
Oh,
I was like, oh, it looks like this is a long-term thing. And she had been, in her younger days, had worked in India doing like voluntary service as a school teacher in a Tibetan colony on the border of North India.
Sure.
And she wanted to go back, and I had like no interest in going to India at all, but she wanted to go back and see all her kids who were now like grown up and adults and stuff. So I tagged along and ended up doing my own trip around India while she stayed up in Dehradun at this Tibetan colony, which I didn't speak Tibetan or anything like that, so I wasn't really finding it fun. And I didn't think about learning the language or really have any dream to at that stage. So I had a bit of a look around there, and then when I got back to Australia, I met a cult that was working in India. It was like a religious group that was doing work for love, like
Right.
yeah, that was like not for money.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the thing. That's what nobody's doing. I want to do that.
It's like a commune.
Yeah. And so I joined them. They turned out to be.
What religion were they?
So they were claiming to be like Christian.
Yeah.
They were an offshoot from the Children of God, which is like a big sex cult in the US. But they decided they wanted to be the offshoot that wasn't a sex cult.
Like Warren
Right.
Jeffs.
I don't know who that is.
He was the fundamental FLDS, Latter-day Saints, and he was like...
No, different. Oh, well, no. The guy that was what do you call it, the leader, he was from the States, and he definitely had some narcissistic tendencies, and he was kind of like a manipulator and a controller of young people. And we were all young. I was probably one of the more kind of like mature people, and I would have only been 27, I think, when I went and joined this thing. And I was like fully in it for like, I wanted to
Do it for love.
do the big spiritual thing, like go and work in India. I thought if I die there, I'll get immediate sanctum or something like that, possibly. I don't know what I was thinking. Not that's probably a bit of a strange exaggeration on what I was really thinking. But I kind of, I'll be up there with Mother Teresa.
Were you aware aware that you were joining a cult, or did you? Because a lot of people who join cults, they don't know they're in a cult.
I didn't know it was a cult.
No.
And then I shortly worked it out.
Yeah.
And I said to everybody, I said, funny that like we're this cult, and everyone's like, we're not a cult. I said, come on, of course we're a cult.
They're the 4 danger words of a cult. We're not a cult.
Yeah. And I was like, of course we're a cult. And they were like, oh no, the military's a cult. This is a cult. And it's like, well, we're a cult then. We're exactly the same. Look at us. We've all got beards. We're all wearing cloaks.
I'm surprised it took you so long to figure it out.
Well, the thing was, I bailed like 3 years later. I came back to Australia after working in India.
That's still a long time, though. 3 years.
Did you have to sustain from any luxuries?
Yeah, I got $2 pocket money a week.
Yep. Were you allowed to fraternise?
And that was to buy my luxuries with. What's that?
Were you allowed to fraternise or?
Nah.
No,
Not really, no. It was kind of like you stay in the community, do work in the community. I mean, you could go out and talk to Indians and stuff like that, but there was no like hanky-panky or anything like that.
You were celibate for 3 years in a cult.
Cleaning toilets.
There's plenty to turn you off there.
Strange choices.
Not a lot of love that I'm feeling in the cult of love.
That was the funny thing. Like I went in there thinking, I want to find out what love is, And it's like,
Find out.
We found out what it isn't.
Not there. I was like, well, it's not that. But I did kind of like, there was the whole concept of doing things for other people. It's not just necessary, like it's, that has its own intrinsic value. And I think that's kind of like where the power of love is. It's doing, doing the deeds and the work. But a lot of the other bullshit that was like just religious claptrap, which these guys were claiming that they totally didn't do. Oh, we're not religious, we're spiritual. And it's like, it's starting to look a little religious. Just the way that, and the way that it was a hierarchy system and stuff like that. And then there was secret, like, meetings and, and
they get a god complex, don't they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Totally. They start thinking that they're like the prophets, the messiahs and stuff like that.
Deities, the connection between God and the common people.
And, if enough people, back you up and don't say, you're not a messiah, then
it kind of works, doesn't it? Yeah.
Anyway, that was a good kind of, it was a really satisfying work to do in India. But in the West, what they were doing was really shallow. Like they were basically apothecizing or whatever you call it and begging for money off people. Yeah. Which was legit to go and do the stuff in India. But also to buy like the leader his new, computer and, and make him kind of
the private jet and all that.
Yeah. Private jet. But, I dare say he wouldn't have turned one down. Nobody was going to give him one. And they're actually running like the whole community dismantled. Shortly after I left, I kind of like was made a leader, and they said to me, "Okay, you're on your own outreach team. You're responsible for these people now." And we got over to South Australia. So got back from India. Newcastle was where the new headquarters was. I came back to South Australia, and then I just like I have all these like weird dreams that of that to me were speaking to me, and it's like this is time for me to leave this.
What kind of dreams?
The big one that I had, and I shared them with these community. I said I had this dream of like there's this big round yard like that with horses in it, and there was one white horse jumped up and kicked the fence down and released all the horses out. And I was like, wonder what that dream means. And the leader was like, that's a self-righteous dream. Oh, yeah. He was cranking on about it. And I'm like, and everybody else is like, and I said, so what's the difference between self-righteous and righteous? Because we're all claiming to be righteous. We're all the righteous ones, aren't we? And it's like, so what's the difference between self-righteous? And everyone's like, they're pretty much the same thing.
The walls come crashing down.
So anyway, I got out on the road with this small crew, and I said, guys, do you know how I'm the leader? and you guys have to do what I say. Well, I'm now making you guys leaders, and you can do whatever you want. And I left.
Yeah.
And that sent a ripple through the whole community. I don't know really what happened after that. There was quite a lot of people stayed in for a lot longer. And really regretted I've met them since. And they're just like, oh, man, stayed in there too long, wasted our lives. And it's like, I didn't feel like that. Like, I didn't feel like I wasted my life there. I spent 3 years there and got everything that I really wanted to get out of that. And that I needed to, and did a lot of good while I was in there. But these other people, a lot of them very bitter afterwards.
Yep.
You know,
Fair enough.
In there, or was it all
any
like Indian people in there, or was it like?
There were 2 women that were married to to 2 of the sons of the leader.
Yeah.
And one of them's still married and very happy, and he's like a curator of some art museum or something like that, or arts programs in Sydney. And then the other one became a proctologist in Sydney and got like done for all this lurid stuff and abuse of his wife and all this sort of shit. And he's been through the courts and stuff like that. And it's like, oh my God, you know, the old fruit doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was a pretty bizarre. I don't even know why I got onto that track.
Camels.
Because you forgot your wife. You forgot your wife or something.
Yeah. So I came back and she still didn't want to get married. So she was a Buddhist, and I had wanted to get married when I found out she was pregnant. I said, I need to look after you. And she's like, oh no, I never want to get married. She's married now.
Oh, that's what they say.
Yeah, never say never. And
wow.
Yeah, so I kind of like that's why I went actually to India. I thought, okay, well if I can't get married, you know, this is like, what do I do? I can't just float around the place like a ghost. I'm going to India. And if I die, I don't care. You know, that was kind of the way it was, and I didn't even get sick while I was in India.
Yeah.
I'd been really sick on the Aboriginal lands. I had Shigella and Giardia and hepatitis A. Like all these horrible diseases, because it's just bad living conditions out there, bad water mostly.
Yeah.
It's sort of bore water, isn't it?
Well, it is bore water, but there was a tank that was set up at Roger's homeland, and the contractors, unbeknownst to me, there was a rainwater tank out the side, which I thought was like plumbed up to the taps, but they put the stock trough water across to the house. And the water was green and filthy inside the tank, right? And kids were like, I was watching the kids drinking the water from the tap, and the tap water came out crystal clear. So I was like, and I was watching the kids jump in and out of the tank and then do a big shit on the ground of diarrhea and then jump back into the tank again. And I was like, remind myself, never swim in that tank over there.
You're drinking it.
And I'm drinking down the water. The next day I'm like, and I couldn't work out. And then the contractors, I got them to the contractors because Roger came out. He goes, oh, don't drink that water. And I'm like, what do you mean don't drink it? He goes, no, that's bad water that came from that tank over there. I went, can't do. It's got to come from the rainwater tank. And he goes, no. And I said, well, how come it's so clean? He goes, I don't know. All right. So anyway, contractors came out and they found a pair of underpants wedged in the pipe, which were filtering
like
it.
a filter.
They weren't new ones either. They were. So there, I got pretty sick off of that. Went to India cleaning toilets, like, there's nothing. I was being a little careful, like we're boiling water and stuff like that.
Yeah. Wow. So, camels. Camel farm. Yeah. Wow. You could even, I mean, I guess you'd go on alone for the money, right? But you could just go out somewhere, film yourself, make a channel.
I almost thought about doing my own alone. Because so nobody had done anywhere that wasn't cold. It was all going into the snow, and that's not my strong point. I've been in snow in America a little bit and in Canada, but not much. And I haven't certainly camped out in it. I'd love to, but it's like everyone's like, "You mad? I'm camping out in that damn snow. Just go stay inside. Keep yourself warm." I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, I suppose so. I'd like to go out there." And then there's like, "Bears? What the hell?" I couldn't believe it. I went into one of the big national parks there.
Yeah.
This is with my Californian wife and little brand new baby. This brand new baby, and it's like, looks like bear food. And we're sleeping in a tent, and we've got a bottle of wine, we're drinking the wine, and then Betsy said, "Well, make sure you go and put all the food in that big steel safe outside so that the bears don't come in here and tear it all up the place to get to, or break the car open. Got to lock it in their safe." And it's like,
What?
so you mean to say that the food is in the tin box and the bears are going, there's nothing to eat around here. Except that we've already eaten some of it. Yeah. And we're inside like a little plastic skin. You're kidding me. That seems like a ludicrous. And all night was like, look at my bears. So like the American idea of going off and living in Alaska with grizzly bears and polar bears has never really kind of like, I want food. Can I go?
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, nah, pass.
It's funny, everyone thinks Australia is the dangerous place, but we've got nothing
Nah. Yeah.
Nah. Well, now they're doing Alone in Africa.
I just saw an article. Yeah, they're going to South Africa, right?
That's the one I want to do.
You're applying for that.
Yeah. That's
Unreal.
They'll probably send me to Alaska. And it's like, dang it. Now
You might be the diversity hire on the American one because you're like the Aussie guy.
Yeah.
You know, like a bit of a different character. Yeah.
Let's handball him straight off to the northern bloody lights.
But you'd like that, wouldn't you? Because you don't know anything about it.
It would tick off a bucket list thing for me because I've actually always wanted to go to Alaska, and my Californian wife was born in Anchorage.
Oh, yeah.
Alaska. So I was kind of like, I thought, we'll end up there one day. And it's like, we got divorced and didn't end up there. And I was like, I don't really feel the call anymore.
Yeah.
But if they said, will you do it? I will do it.
Yeah, you'd be right. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't be right. I'd probably get my Indian wish fulfilled in the belly of a polar bear. That would be probably my luck. But no, it wouldn't be. I can usually survive stuff. Pretty well. So, but I just don't know what I'm doing. Like I don't know how to build a freaking igloo. Yeah.
There's a guy that does it. I can't remember his YouTube channel, but he films himself building igloos and he camps out.
Yep. I've watched a few of those, and it's like, make it look easy.
Yeah.
How hard could it be?
Can't be that hard.
Fire inside the igloo.
Yeah. Probably had a hole through the ice and was pulling fish out of it too. I just think that it's like there's a few cuts and stuff that have gone into that editing. That's like, it ain't that easy. And a lot of these contestants come in with like missing limbs and like from frostbite fingers and toes. And, but I kind of do understand. So when I shot rabbits at night time in the desert, it was below zero.
Freezing. Yeah.
It was below zero, and I had like 4 lots of overalls on. And thermals, and beanies and balaclava and gloves, extra socks and boots, and was still cold. And it's like, so I understand, but like, and then they want to put you in the snow as well. Yeah. But I actually found snow not as cold as that.
Well, I think you can insulate better in snow, than rather than desert. Yeah. Like you can dig snow beds and the walls like insulate your heat
and keeps the
wind
off.
So you trap your heat in there. Yeah, it keeps the wind off. Whereas in the dead, like the AP Wildlands and stuff, it's
bitter.
Yeah.
And I was using no windscreen and no door on my shooting vehicle. So you're driving around at 40 kilometres an hour, just like it was horrible.
Like I drove a forklift in Melbourne when it was cold.
It gets you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That wind chill factor takes -5 to -35 or something. And I've worked in freezers on trawlers and things as well. That was bizarre. Working in a freezer that was working at like -46 degrees, and then in Darwin. Yeah. And then you pop out the top and it's +33.
That would be sick, wouldn't it?
It's kind of fun because you don't stay down there for very long. Like you go down there and you don't touch anything because you get stuck to it. It's like your hands and stuff. And we were just like bringing out boxes of prawns or scallops or whatever we were doing at the time. And and you come out through the hatch, and you're all like frosted.
Yeah.
And then but you immediately melt.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you come out, and just like,
Wow.
and usually I would just go down with like boots, shorts, and a singlet because it's stinking hot in Darwin. Like
Yeah.
And so you nip down there, grab a box, come back up, and you're just doing this, like you're building up this layer of sweat and ice. And it was a disgusting feeling. Afterwards, you come out just like scraping this stuff off and go and have a shower. But I couldn't imagine. We did lock one guy down in that freezer just for like a couple of minutes. He was like, boom. And I was thinking about, if that was me down there, I'd be panicking. He was.
Yeah.
I opened it up, let him out.
Up.
Yeah, it's just what you do in Darwin on a hot day. What happened to you today? Died in the freezer. Jesus.
My God. Right.
Oh, you guys are probably
Yeah, we'll let you go.
Did we find out why camels?
Not really. Just because you went back up there and
they
said,
got back into it.
Yeah.
It's basically because of Roger.
Roger. Yeah.
Roger was my buddy, a big influence on me.
Yeah.
Really like salt of the earth type guy. I had a lot of love for him. Really, like probably one of my favourite people in the world. Wow. And he got diabetes, and then basically his kidneys failed, and he didn't want to go on to dialysis. And they gave him the choice. They said, you can go to Alice Springs twice a week, get your dialysis, and you could keep going for a couple of years. But he hated Alice Springs, hated driving up there, and he wasn't afraid of death. At least not when he was in his full faculties. Like he was like, oh, okay. He said, well, and they said you could have 2 weeks to go if you don't get the dialysis. And he said, all right. He said, well, I want to come and live on your farm with you for the last 2 weeks, and we'll just do camel stuff, and I'll drink camel milk. And I kind of think maybe he thought the camel milk was going to save him, which we didn't even know it was any good for diabetes at that stage. Or maybe we did, but he didn't like drinking it. And he got within like 3 days. I had to, the decline was very sad. So he became very infantile. Like he was getting toxic overload. Like his whole body was just filling up with toxins, and his brain was basically getting clouded right out. And he started turning into like a little kid. It was like almost a reverse back in life. And I've seen that happen with old people too.
Dementia.
Yeah, but it was either a dementia or just like just like they become like little children, afraid and unreasonable, and it's kind of like you come into the world and then you go out, and it's like that's kind of weird thing. And it was sad seeing this big, strong, initiated man who'd done all sorts of crazy things in the outback in the bush, and then to be so almost like humiliated as he was going out. But I don't think he was aware so much of it. I was aware of it, and I had to like wash his ass and stuff like that, like take him to the toilet because he couldn't. In the end, he could barely move. And unfortunately, he had like a big boil on his back, which we were dressing every day, and took him into the hospital to get it looked at. And they wanted to keep him in, and they put him on all these drugs, which is the worst thing you can do when somebody's kidneys have failed. I think it's the worst thing they could do. They thought they knew what they were doing, but they just over-toxified him. He wanted to get out, and he was like, please, I want to come out. And they were like, no, he has to stay in here for a night. And I'm like, Roger, they say you've got to stay in here for the night. No, don't leave me, don't leave me. I'm going to die in here. They're going to kill me. I don't like it. They shouldn't be giving me. And so I was like, I felt really bad about it. He did stay there for a night or two, and then he came back to the farm, and I think he kind of lost a bit of trust in me. He started becoming, he got fearful then. But he was becoming very like cognitive, like he wasn't really like piecing this together. And he goes, I want to go back to Fregon. And his granddaughter came in that day, and I said, you can go with your granddaughter. She's going back up. And so he did. He went back up, and he actually died like 2 days later up there. which I was kind of really grateful for, because if somebody dies on your watch in Pitjantjatjara culture, you're to blame for it as well. Wow. So I think that was like I'm glad that he did that in many ways. Not that I would have felt like it was my fault, but it's just takes that whole kind of like a lot of that onus away. If you're in a car accident with somebody and they die and you're alive, even if you weren't the driver, to some degree you're responsible.
Could you piece back how it happened?
Well, no, that's just Pitjantjatjara law.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and you get a spearing. You should get a spear for that. So if you're getting all mashed up, but you survived, maybe you thought being mashed up was worth. Like there's this whole suspicion that's like, and the people who are the close relatives of the one that died, it's like, how come you didn't die? You're supposed to be out there looking after each other, and you obviously weren't looking after this one.
Yeah.
So, and we've lost that one, so we're going to make you pay. And sometimes it's a death payoff if they really are upset about it, and sometimes it's just a spearing, and sometimes people just can't let it go. But
even if it's of natural causes, like you plan.
What's natural causes? It's like, they used to always say when petrol sniffers died, it was a bad spirit. It wasn't, it's like what generally happens is they get pneumonia, and in winter time, because petrol makes you feel cold and cool, so in summertime it's a great thing to start doing a sniff in petrol and feeling like it's like having an air conditioner built in, and they're cold and have a blanket on and walking around in summer. Wintertime hits and they usually get pneumonia, the lungs are weak and they're already like losing body temperature really fast, and they die. And people used to say, oh, well, you see, that's what petrol sniffing does. And people go, he's been sniffing petrol for a year. Didn't kill him. That was a bad spirit got him last night. So what do you call, natural, if somebody dies on your watch, how come everybody knew that Roger was ill? And older people dying is not as a bigger, that was the biggest funeral I ever went to out in the Aboriginal lands, was his funeral. I went back up there with my son, my older son, because he was born out there, and it was amazing. Like that was a really surreal feeling. Like the whole time, I felt like Roger was there, but like he was a giant.
Yeah,
like it felt like he was 100 feet tall, overlooking the whole thing. Like it was just the weirdest feeling, and I kept that to myself the whole time I was out there. It's just like, this is. And I've never previously or after experienced anything like that.
Wow.
And I've been to quite a few funerals. So it's just like very, very, very amazing scenario.
Wow. It's probably something fitting about him dying on his land as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it was. I think what happened is that he basically tried crawling out of the clinic and died. Because that's usually what happens to the old people there. They put them in a clinic and they don't want to be in a clinic. They want to be in there with machines beeping and funny lights on and weird noises and stuff. And quite often they will creep out in the middle of the night and crawl out and then die from exposure because, it's freezing cold or whatever. But I don't know what exactly the full situation was, but I did hear something like that he had kept falling out of bed or kept crawling out of bed.
Right.
And I think it happens with old people too. I think how did that happen with? Oh, it was TJ's grandma, who's still alive. But they had her in an old person's home and she was getting abused in there.
Oh, yeah.
And so over in Western Australia, she was getting abused and tormented, and she climbed out over the rail because they'd lock her in.
Yeah.
That's right. And she climbed out and she was like a pretty big little old lady. She's like she must be nearly getting close to being 90 now. And she broke her pelvis and stuff and survived.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
wow.
Lovely little lady. But and then it all came out what had happened, and so she got.
It happens all the time.
Happens all the time.
Works as like a entry nurse at one of them in my hometown.
Yeah.
And she had to report it because of the stuff that was going on. They just treat them like absolute shit.
Yeah. Yep. That's I think is like the kind of thing that I think being in India was really interesting.
Don't they?
Sorry?
Don't they live all in the
Put them in the river, don't they?
No. So, like, what I'm talking about is like they're doing things for the right reason, doing things out of love. Like, if it's a job that people don't want to be doing, they fucking shouldn't be doing it. You know, like the people shouldn't be looking after old people if they don't love looking after old people. Plenty of people do love doing it, and they should be paid top money for doing that sort of stuff. That crew that were out here today, they were, I think they were mostly carers.
Yeah, it was a carers and patients sort of thing.
And that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole idea, is that they're looking after those people because they are important, and and they're doing it probably from the better viewpoints. They're not doing it just because there's some money in it, which I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
Is, it's like, even when my dad passed away in one of these places. It was a pretty good one, really. Like, they looked after him well. He got rapid onset dementia, which is during COVID. And so he had no idea why he was in there and that nobody was coming to see him.
Oh, my God.
And so he was like in Western Australia, and I couldn't get over to Western Australia because they wouldn't let me in unless I got a jab. So I ended up getting a jab to go in, and then they stopped me at the border and said, no, you can't. You're not allowed to come in, even if you've had the fucking jab. And I'm like, what? And then he basically shortly after that died. But he was kind of like, went in there and thought he'd done something wrong, had done something bad. That's what his wife was saying, that that he thought that he didn't. It's like, why am I in here? Because you've got dementia. Oh, okay. Well, why isn't anybody visiting me? Oh, because of COVID. Oh, okay.
You didn't believe it?
Well, he didn't know. He didn't know what it was. Like, he couldn't remember.
Yeah.
He had long-term memory.
Yep.
He didn't have short-term memory. So he could remember all the people. Right at the very end, he actually didn't know who I was. So I did get to see him one time before. I saw him twice in there, just before COVID and just after COVID, just before he died. And he was I just spent the whole day in there just with him, just watching some TV and getting fruit and flowers and things out of the garden and pigs and stuff, and just different sensations that, it's like, because he was eating his fruit and like, oh, what's that? And then he said, and who's this then? And I'm like, oh, geez, I thought he knew who I was. He didn't know who I was. And it just still didn't even register when I told him, like, oh, it's Warwick, your son. And he's like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, nah.
Yeah.
But he went out that same way, like, very, what do you call it? Became very, like, immature, like almost like a child.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.